Get started. Goati kai tawa haupa, tu shamome kutu tuisa, eshte kohaya hano, esh rashtra washti, shtata. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bianca Mitchell. I am from the Pueblo of Acoma, and I am IANTA's Education Manager. I will be serving as today's webinar moderator, and I will be managing the questions and answers at the end of the presentation. Thank you for joining us for the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association's webinar series. Today's educational webinar is Building a Better Tourism Website. For those of you who are not familiar with IANTA, for nearly 2 decades, IANTA has served as the national voice for American Indian nations engaged in cultural tourism. In addition to serving as the voice for Indian country tourism, IANTA provides technical assistance and training to tribal nations and Native-owned enterprises engaged in tourism, hospitality, and recreation. IANTA's mission is to define, introduce, grow, and sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors traditions and values. Just some of our IANTA's educational offerings. I want to mention that we just completed our Go International virtual conference last week. Thank you for those who participated. We also provide the annual American Indian Tourism Conference, or AITC, the only national tourism conference focused on American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian cultural tourism. Reimagine, reemerge, reunite, stronger together in Indian country is the theme of this year's conference, now celebrating its 23rd anniversary. This year's conference will take place in person at the Wekopaw Casino Resort on the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation in Scottsdale, Arizona, from October 25th through the 28th. We are still seeking expert speakers to lead the breakout sessions at this year's conference. So if you'd like to showcase your expertise in front of more than 300 tourism professionals, please let us know. Visit our website at ianta.org to learn more about our educational program offerings, and at ianta.org/AITC for additional information and registration for this year's 23rd Annual American Indian Tourism Conference. Additionally, as we all look forward to a renewed future, IANTA is rolling out an interactive new town hall series hosted by our IANTA board president, Mr. Emerson Vile, and our IANTA CEO, Mrs. Sherry Rupert. They will be unveiling our major initiatives for the coming year, and we also want to hear from you. So please join us tomorrow, April 28th at 1 p.m. Mountain, to share your own cultural heritage tourism programming. I encourage all hospitality industry professionals to attend. Learn more at our website, ianta.org. Again, thank you for joining us this morning for today's webinar, Building a Better Tourism Website. I'm so pleased to introduce our speakers today, our very own Monica Poling, IANTA's Marketing and PR Manager. After having spent more than a decade as a journalist with one of the leading travel trade news websites, Monica turned in her daily byline in order to manage IANTA's marketing, public relations, and content development efforts. In her role as Marketing and Public Relations Manager for IANTA, she works to bring awareness of Indian country tourism. Prior to her career in journalism, Monica spent 5 years promoting international tourism to Korea as the marketing manager for the Korea Tourism Organization, and also managed member outreach for the Los Angeles Tourism and Convention Board. Also with us this morning is Maureen Chavez from the Acoma Pueblo. She is IANTA's Visitor Outreach Manager. Maureen is a member, of course, of Acoma Pueblo. She has spent most of her 10+ year career in tourism, hospitality, and destination sales. Maureen has worked with group tours and meeting planners, both national and international, as a representative for the city and partners of Visit Albuquerque. During her tenure, she worked to assist small groups in locating properties around the city of Albuquerque to host meetings, as well as participate in familiarization tours and site visits. She also worked with group tours to assist with the creation of itineraries, locating accommodations, and ensuring all groups were prepared for their visit to the area. And at this time, please welcome Maureen and Monica. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Bianca. And good morning, everyone. Maureen and I have spent a few great days just researching Native American tourism websites, and we're both talking about this morning how excited and inspired we are by so many of the sites that we found in creating this presentation. So I think it's going to be a fairly informal session. We're going to highlight some tips and tricks that you might want to utilize when building your own site, and then highlighting some sites that we think are doing well. But feel free at any point to pop questions in the chat. Bianca will be keeping an eye on that as well. So we're happy to stop if you have questions. We don't have to wait till the end. If you have questions as we go, feel free to share them. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Maureen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Monica and Bianca. Kuatsi haupa kaitawa pia. Shinomed saiti maitsata ese ushakhanoshtata. My name is Maureen, and I am the new visitor outreach manager for IANTA. I'm very happy to be here and be a part of this webinar. Monica is right. We did spend some time on the internet, looking at different sites and talking about how some sites work and some sites, need a little bit more assistance. So hopefully our presentation today will inspire you all to look at your own sites, so you can see what you can do a little bit better, and help improve on your sites, or help others who are reaching out to you improve on their sites. So let's go ahead and move into the presentation.
One thing I wanted to mention before we get started, I know we have a lot of artisans registered for this workshop. So at the end, we added a few slides for artisans. So some of the beginning part may not be relevant to you specifically, but stick with us. We did include some elements for artisans at the end as well.
That's right. We didn't forget the artisans.
Exactly.
So we're going to start off with navigation. Designs should be easy to navigate. Visitors should always know exactly where they are on your website, and how to get to where they want to go. There's also a fine line between being interactive and being annoying when it comes to your website, and you have to keep that in mind. One site that I had visited in particular was maorganicfarms.org. When I visited their website, I clicked on, and the homepage provides links while scrolling through. If you click Our Story, the link takes you to a page with photos and easily accessible links. So it was easy to navigate once you got to that area on the website. And if you click on the links, you're able to read each selection, and once you're done reading, once you get to the very bottom, rather than looking for Our Story again, there's a link that actually states back to Our Story, and it takes you back to the original area where you started. There are easy options to join and subscribe to this website in particular. It provides policies and procedures for the program. It's visually attractive by providing videos and stunning graphics. The donation, there's a section in there for donation, so that information is easy to find. And overall, the website was just very easy to navigate. It was stunning, and it provided many visuals, videos, and history of the organization.
I like how when you scroll down on the homepage, it has all of its sections right there on the scrolling homepage, and all the images are so exciting and enticing. It really defines the site well, and it just really makes you want to go.
And it included a lot of people.
Yeah.
See people doing work. It's wonderful to see people interacting. So that's what I really enjoyed about this site. Monica, do you want to discuss this one?
I wanted to mention, I know a lot of tribes are sort of involved in the question of, should we have a separate site for tourism, or should we just include it on our larger tribal site? And I think there's no right answer, but I did want to point out that Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, they do include their tourism information on their main tribal site, but they make it very clear with their Visit Us link that this is the visitor portion of that. So I think there's no real right answer. If you're maybe trying to capture a little of the tourism and visit SEO, you may want to do a separate site, but I don't think that it makes a big difference. So depending on how your architecture, your tribal architecture and structure works, either way can be good.
Right, absolutely. Let's move on to visual design, Monica. So you have about 1/10 of a second to impress your visitor or potential customer and let them know that your website and business are trustworthy and professional. You need to utilize great graphics on your website to make it more appealing. And as always, like the first one, don't go overboard when it comes to your graphics, when it comes to your flash intros. Use them sparingly because it can get annoying after a while. I visited Discover Navajo, and I believe this website was put together by the Navajo Nation Tourism Department. And the website itself starts off with an arrow that literally says start here, and it points to discover, adventure, relax, and experience. And when you click down on any of those links, it provides you with opportunities to discover tour opportunities, to visit places that are adventurous, to relax, offers you the opportunity to stay in a hogan, and that's also part of experience too. So as you begin scrolling down, it gives you a welcome in Navajo and information on the size of the Navajo Nation. You can also request a visitor's guide, which was great. So if you all have visitor's guides, if you all have brochures, information, you can add that in your websites. The activities, once you reach the activities, it provides you with pictures and captions, and it covers everything from hiking to Navajo culture to staying in a hogan, and of course, casino resorts. And then at the very bottom of the page, you run into YouTube videos and contact information, which I thought was really fun. And you could really get lost in this website because there are so many things to go and visit. There are so many things, links to other websites that they've incorporated, and it's just a really well done website.
I love that start here button. It's, you can't resist wanting to see what happens when you click it. So you've automatically built a relationship with your visitors by doing that. I think that's such a great idea. And you can't really tell from this image, but at the very bottom right corner, there's a popover that's order your visitor guide. So you're already asking your visitors to sign up and give you their information right away. And I think that's really nice as well.
I thought so too. I thought that was a great way to, get people involved with, with reading material, actual reading material.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll move on to web and mobile friendly. You want to make sure that your website should work on all browsers and mobile devices, especially now that we are using our phones, our iPads, our tablets a lot more while we travel. Make sure that your website is able to be seen on both a computer as well as your mobile friendly device or your mobile devices, and be sure to test it. Don't assume that it works, because we have visited some sites where the mobile friendly versions weren't very friendly. And then utilize meta tags. And what meta tags are, they're essentially little content descriptors that help tell search engines what a web page is all about. Alt tags are, you can actually apply alt tags to images, such as a product. If you're selling your pottery, if you're selling your baskets, if you're selling, anything within e-commerce, if you have a gift shop, or artists, if you're selling your work, you might want to look at considering alt tags, which can be a positive impact on e-commerce stores, and search engine rankings. And then work with someone who is fully versed in search engine optimization. And, that's the process of improving the quality and quantity of website traffic to a website or web page, from search engines. And it includes anything from images to search video, to academic searches and so on. And we utilized Sky City Cultural Center and Hoggle Museum for this particular search, because the website version itself is visually stunning. There's a lot of images that roll through. But when you get to the web-friendly version, all the information is right there. And you can either click on the little menu icon, and it brings you to specific parts of the cultural center, or you can continue to scroll down, and that also brings you to specific parts of the cultural center.
One thing I highly recommend when you are using photos on your website is oftentimes you've snapped the photo on your mobile device and your photo is named 180052.jpg. Don't use that. Rename your photo to Pueblo of Acoma, Acoma Pottery, Pretty Correa.jpg, because Google will read that name of your JPEG as part of your site. So if you're looking to search and rank well and search on 180092.jpg, you'll do very well, but it won't pick up the name of your actual image. So for all people, but in particular artisans, I know kind of tend to upload their image right away without renaming it, but do take the few seconds to rename it. It will help with your search engine results.
Right. And use those keywords.
Yes.
Use those keywords like Acoma pottery or Navajo rugs.
Right.
Yes.
I agree.
Information accessibility. Not all visitors who visit your website have time to look at your website and look over all of the information. Sometimes they just want an address. Sometimes they just need a phone number. They just want someone to talk to. So it's easy to have that information readily available, so your visitors find what they need before they get frustrated. I use Talisay tours in particular. I visited the website yesterday and was looking through it. It has the information right there. It has call today at the very top. Once you scroll down, you are able to see all of the information from the tour overview to booking, to what is going to be needed on the tour, to what to expect, and who to talk to, who to reach out to. It's concise. There's enough information there, where I'm not looking for more information. I have it all right where I need it. Monica, you want to talk about intuitiveness?
Sure. I think one of the things that, a lot of times visitors have a lot of questions when visiting Native communities. Sometimes they're not certain on terminology. We often hear that, visitors will say costume instead of regalia, or they may not know when they can take photos. They may not know when it's appropriate to clap during a powwow or during a performance. So I think the intuitiveness is those questions that you and your cultural advisors and your visitor center and everybody hear over and over again, that's going to arise. So building a page on your website that answers these, not just necessarily a page, you can answer the questions throughout the website, but also having a frequently asked questions section, I think is really helpful to building trust with your visitors, because you acknowledge that they may be hesitant or concerned about misstepping, and so you're helping them address that. So it builds a nice two-way relationship. And I think GoNativeAmerica.com has a really great FAQ section. I would also do a shout out to Pueblo of Acoma, because they have a very defined visitor policy, and they also on their website have great information on when you can take photos, you must be with a guide, and it defines things in advance so that visitors don't feel upset or worried because they can't take photos, because they've been told and they know that information coming into your destination.
Right. I've noticed that on a few other websites as well. They have policies and procedures. They have what to expect. They have a lot of really good information for visitors prior to them visiting. So, those are wonderful things to have on hand.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about branding. So your website should be a reflection of your business or your brand. Your visitors should feel connected to you and should, know your logo. Know your logo, know your print material, and then when they visit your destination, they know the brick and mortar location. Putting all these things together really helps your visitor to know who you are. We actually utilize the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, hub of the Chippewa Nation earlier in our presentation. And then you see it again here within the branding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we can move it. So this is our only site shaming in the whole webinar. We promised we wouldn't do it, but Big Lots can take it. And if you're familiar with the brand, I believe it's on the east. The exclamation mark comes between Big and Lots. And if you're in the west, the exclamation mark comes after the Lots. And this is just confusing. Why would you do that? And if there's a reason, if your brand is trademarked or owned by an affiliate or whatever, explain that and let people know. So I said they feature an exclamation point, but all we see are questions, because, is it one line logo? Is it a two line logo? And so I wanted to mention this in particular because I know a lot of tribes right now and resorts and hotels are sort of in the process of rebranding. And so just be consistent. If you, when Intercontinental Hotels first rebranded away many 20, 30 years ago, they had a little, it wasn't a hyphen, it was a little graphic between there too, and no one could type the graphic. So even internally, their own people were differentiated. Some would just make Intercontinental one word with a capital C, others would use a hyphen, and it became confusing for people to talk about you. It built a relationship of mistrust because people didn't understand and didn't know what to do. So if you're in the process of rebranding, in particular your tribe name, it's okay if not everything gets fixed right away, but have an explanation page. In 2020, we have a new name. We're in the process of doing that so that people understand why things are not connected. So that, again, you're building a relationship of trust with your consumers.
Turnaround time. Websites take some time to get it up and running. If your website isn't up and running, it's not operational, it won't bring you business. So make sure to work with a company who you can trust, who has a good reputation, and will help you get your site built on time. And Monica, I think you'd agree that sites don't have to be extensive. You can, work with what you've got until you're ready to really shine with your new site.
This site, Opeka Ventures in Alaska, they literally have 5 pages. They have this home page, welcome, about us, services, and contact. And each page has minimal information. It is probably not ideal for search engine optimization, but if your customers are booking you, then they know that you exist. They know that you're a real thing. You're not a scam or all the pertinent and relevant information is available in Up. They can always come back later and add more information or update things. I will say that some of their information is dated, so I don't recommend that. I recommend that if you put a date on something, like if you have a blog post, make sure you're either don't put dates on your blog posts or make sure that you're updating that and your most recent blog post isn't 2 or 3 years old. But
Right.
having said that, you can get started with a simple, you don't have to have a giant site like Discover Navajo to get started.
Right.
Okay.
Interaction. You want to engage your visitors almost immediately when they visit your website. You want to hold their attention, make your website, as visually attractive as possible. And with your websites, as they're scrolling through, you want it to entice your customers to contact you, which becomes conversion. And of course, once again, be careful with being with interaction and annoyance. Things can be wonderful and interactive, but then they can be annoying. I've seen some websites where you're trying to click the link before it goes off the web page, and then you have to wait for it to come around again, and that becomes annoying. But I visited gonativeamerica.com, and I just thought that the pictures immediately were stunning. They had native dancers in their regalia. They have this big, beautiful bear that's posted right now. And when you scroll down on the website, it provided some history, some information about the website, what they do for the community, and then it enticed you to go and visit these different links and look at the different tours that are being provided. And then, of course, there's a section all about Go Native America. There's also pre-touring information, once again, policies and procedures, what to expect, and then contact information if you want to speak to somebody.
For me, the fine line between interaction and annoyance, I see that primarily popping up when you can kind of see on the bottom of this one that there's this is not one of the annoyance ones, but you can see that there's the dots, which means they have multiple screens scrolling through the homepage. And for me, if your multiple screens link off to another page, don't make them scroll too quickly. If I want to link to something, I don't always have a minute to get my cursor up to make that link. So either don't make them scroll too quickly, or give me a way to manually advance those slides so I can get back to the one that interested me, because there's nothing more frustrating than, oh, wow, this was a really cool tour, but then now I have to wait for 10 more slides before I can refine where that tour that I liked was going to.
Right. And the dots usually do that. And then there's also arrows. I've seen,
Yes.
Websites add arrows on the side so you can scroll through a little faster if you need to get to the site where you want to visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Conversion.
So,
go right ahead, Monica.
So conversion, a lot of people think of conversion as, I want to make a sale, and not all visitors are going to come to your site for the first time and buy something. They want to develop some trust with you. They want to know that you're legit. So conversion can mean more things, and it's just capturing that information of the people who are at your site, so that you can continue to have a conversation and build that relationship with them. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Newsletter sign up. For me, Salt River was one of the few sites that I saw that actually had a popover that actually asked people, do you want to sign up for our email, which I think is great. I think people are used to that. I don't think, as long as it doesn't happen a million times during one visit, I think people are used to this popover. They're used to clicking the make sure your X button, your close button is somewhere where people can find it. So if they don't want to do that, but encouraging people to develop a relationship with you. It doesn't have to be a newsletter sign up. You can do giveaways, enter to win something. You can have a case study or original research and have people download that, and they can only get it by inputting their name and information. We do that with our case studies and travel agritourism page, where people have to provide their data before they can download it. You can offer a webinar, a survey. If you, hey, give us a minute, take a minute to tell us what you thought about your recent experience, or what you think about our website, or what would you like to see in our offering, and ask people to voluntarily give their emails. At the very least, encourage a social media follow. It's still a way to capture information. It's not as good as getting an email, but it is still a way to develop a relationship with your customers. Definitely have a contact page in some way or another. You don't have to put emails on there, but you can have it be a form that people fill out. But again, allowing them to define the terms of their relationship. Maybe they don't want to give you their information, but they'd like to ask a question. So allowing users to interact with you in whatever manner is best for them will give you a better data mine of and then, of course, finally, having them complete a purchase, of course, is the ultimate and fantastic conversion. But again, don't expect that to happen on the first visit, which is why you want to develop a relationship. And if you do have an email list, then fulfill it. Send a newsletter once a month, once a quarter, but at least try to keep these customers have trusted you with their information. Now give them what they want, which is more information about you. I recommend too that if you do have a sign up, you send a welcome email from that sign up. Thank you for signing up. Here's some information you may know. Just like Discover Navajo, click here first and have that available to your customers so that you can help them find what they want. And then most importantly, out of everything that you do on your website, content, of course, is king, as they say. So we've developed a whole section separate from the rest of what we talked about, just talking about content. So we're going back to the basics: who, what, where, when, why. I didn't put in how because in this presentation, all of the others, who, what, where, when, and why, answer the how. But certainly when you're building your site, these questions, they're cliched and around and have lasted through time immemorial because it's important. This is what your customers want to know. Who are you? What do you have? Where are you? When should I go? And why should I go? Which is the most important element of all.
So of course, content is the backbone of your site. It's the main reason visitors want to come and visit you or experience what you're offering. Your text should be easy information, easy to read, concise, and your content is most important factor when people are actually searching for you. So we visited womentours.com, and this is their landing page. And what they had was all the tabs located on the left side. They were easy to read in 2 colors. The first site was this in particular when I typed in women bicycle tours. So people are looking for something specific to your location. You want to make sure that you have those keywords and key phrases when people are looking for you. And then your text should be informative, obviously, and easy to read. This one in particular was very easy to read. If you click on one of the sites, it takes you to the actual tours and shows you where you can visit. And these women bicycle through places like Russia and Spain, and then of course here in the United States, and really around the world. It's a pretty awesome site.
So we're going to start with the who. And I think in tourism in general, but certainly in Indigenous tourism and specifically, the who is so very important and so much makes up a part of the stories, because of the storytelling aspect of tourism, featuring your who, featuring the people that are the culture bearers and the tour guides and the information sharers, the artisans. So we really like this site for Red Hawk Native artists. They create events and share how to create events, but right on their homepage, they showcase some of their native artists that you can either consult with or learn from. And so right on the homepage, you already have this relationship with these amazing people, amazing artisans and dancers and performers. And we, of course, our good friend and partner, Stacey Morphin, she did a webinar a little while ago for us that you can see on our webinar page with discussing native tours. And this is one of the images, one of her tours. It's here, the echoes of our ancestors' jet boat tour. And that picture of Stacey just, I mean, who wouldn't want to have that tourism experience? It's beautiful in the background. She's engaged. She's in regalia. I mean, this is the ultimate tourism photo. It's obvious that she used a professional photographer, which of course we always recommend if that's in your budget, but it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily need pro photography, just featuring the enjoyment of the experience that people are going to have in your destination.
I think I want to take that tour now.
Yes, I do too. It's definitely a bucket list item. And then again, celebrating your storytellers. I mean, there's so many great examples, but here the Alaska Native Heritage Center, they're obviously reopening May 11th, coming up. And here are stories, explore our history, feel the heartbeat of Alaska's Indigenous people. And again, that's just, you know, yes, people want to go fishing and they want to go to your cultural centers, but really the experience is going to be about the people that they meet when they do that experience for the most part. So celebrating those people is just key.
Absolutely. I have to agree that the best experiences that I've had are where I'm able to talk to locals and be among them and, you know, experience what they've got to offer.
Mm-hmm.
This is the content of what can I do when I'm there? Will I be bored? And then what have you got to offer that's in one easy location to navigate through? So make sure that you have your what's covered. What am I going to do when I get there? Am I going to take a tour? Am I going to go hiking? What should I expect? And what will I do after I've experienced what you have to offer? And, you know, what is the main point that you're trying to get across to me when I'm visiting you? What do you want me to experience? What do you want me to feel?
And one thing I wanted to mention on this site, you can't tell, the graphic's a little too small, but on the larger graphic, the very last thing, they have a headline, "The Connection Between North Carolina and Oklahoma Cherokee." And again, I'm sure that's a question that they hear over and over, you know, what's the difference between the Cherokee Nation? So it's great that they've answered that question in advance. I'm sure they're going to readdress it when visitors come there, but it's an acknowledgement and again, a building of trust that we know what you're going to ask us. We know some of the things that our visitors are interested in. So they're putting on their site that, you know, that they understand their visitor needs and they want to work with you and help you have the best experience possible. So you don't feel stupid as a visitor asking questions that, you know, that proverbial dumb question that apparently doesn't exist, but really does exist. And on this one, this is the Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma. And one of the pages on their website, they list all the local attractions. You can see here, Amtrak, Heartland Flyer, and Turner Falls Park. So, you know, people want a full, this may not be true for regional visitors. Some people may just come out for one item, just for your museum or just for your cultural center. But visitors who are coming from further away, they want a full experience, a robust experience. So they are going to sometimes base their trip on doing more than one thing. They want an activity and a meal and maybe a second activity. So when you share all that you offer through your tribe or destination. But if you're just if you are a sole entity, I know last week during Go International, the Bernalillo County Museum was there, and they had built itineraries based on local activities that people could also experience when coming to the museum or in partnership with the museum. So it's always a great idea to give love to your community and let your visitors know you're building goodwill with your partners, and hopefully they will return the favor, but you're also building goodwill with your visitors, giving them opportunities and items to do beyond just the one thing or the two things that you may have available. And I think this is also, I think, particularly relevant for artisans who are looking to attract visitors or looking to work with visitors. They may come out to your art walk or your presentation, your activity, but if you can build a, while you're here, also eat here, do this, see this, here's other artisans that I love to work with, you're again building goodwill, and you're giving them more of a reason to come see you. You're not building competition. You might be building some competition, but for the most part, you're giving people a bigger reason to come visit you.
Yes, exactly. You're being hospitable, excuse me. And people love that. People love when you're sharing, your experiences with them as well.
Exactly.
And then, of course, itineraries. Itineraries are a wonderful way to showcase what you have to offer. Even if it's just a one-day experience, if it's half a day experience, it's great to have an idea of what I'm going to do when I get there. Anything from I'm going to take a tour to I'm going to eat dinner here. I'm going to experience a luncheon, a picnic. I'm going to also experience, a storyteller, and I'm going to be able to talk to some of the locals. So it's wonderful to have some type of itinerary to go along with what you have to offer. And once again, Navajo Nation Tourism Department and Discover Navajo, they have these itineraries available where they're super extensive. They go either one day or they can go for about a week. I think I've seen one that went for about a week or so. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about maps?
We're both map fans.
I
so
love
we're both
maps.
Excited about this. Yes, we both are. I'm sure that you've heard time and time again, where are you? Where are you located? In particular, the rural sites, but even if you're in a major city, the locator of where you're located is so important. And it seems to be one of the most overlooked things on so many tourism websites, and not just where, but in relationship to what. So I will let Maureen continue on that because we both are like big map fans.
We are big map fans, and I in particular love maps because I deal a lot with international tourists, people who are coming in from England, Japan, Italy, Germany. They all want to know where you are in relation to where they're going. So a lot of people who are visiting New York, they want to know what is around New York and how long is it going to take me from to get to your destination from Manhattan. A lot of people are visiting Los Angeles, California, and they want to know, are you 2 hours away? Are you an hour away? And what can I do on the way? And once I get there, am I going to experience what time of the day am I going to experience what you have to offer? So itineraries, when groups are building itineraries, they want to know where you are in relation to where they're going. So maps are always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I liked in particular how the Yurok Tribe Visitor Center, Yurok Country, had all these national parks that are and state parks around them. So you can not just get an idea of where they're located, ooh, close to the Pacific Ocean, close to Redwood Forest, but also, again, what else can I do when I'm there? If I don't want to be doing one thing, do I have alternate options if I don't enjoy, or if I want to do more, if I want to stay longer? And so this map, I think, is really particularly beautiful and just really shows the proximity to so many great other things to do as well.
Right. Actually utilize this map because I'm planning an itinerary around Europe. And so I utilized this map when I was working on it. Great map.
Yes, definitely. And this is not a map, but I put it in because I think this is so important. When you go to international trade shows, the first thing the international operators, the visitors want to know is how close are you to the nearest airport? And you know, obviously Humboldt is the CVB in the Yurok area, so I put it in. And I think with international visitors in particular, they think, "Ooh, California! I'll do 17 things in California in 3 days." But when you see that Humboldt is 5.5 hour drive from San Francisco, which, you know, then again is another 5 hours from LA. You're not going to be able to do Redwood National Park, Yosemite, and you know, whatever's in Southern California beaches in 2 days. It's just logistically impossible. And so again, you want to make sure that your customers understand that, so that when they're building a itinerary or a travel plan, their expectations are reasonable. They don't end up you know, at Yurok at 10 o'clock at night and then have now built a departure at 7 a.m. the next day. And they've seen really the redwoods at night. And that's not a good experience on either side. So really including your nearest major airports and drive times. Or I saw Discover Navajo also has drive times to the major attractions as well, which is also very good, because in a destination like Navajo, which is so large, same thing. People may think, I'm going to do all of Navajo Nation in 1 day. And now suddenly you're realizing that end to end, it's a 6-hour drive or an 8-hour drive, and that's not feasible. So you want to let people know these are some limitations when they come to visit.
Right.
When is also a great, you don't have to limit yourself to one season or one time, but I liked how Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, they actually have all 4 seasons on this page, but it was too long to put on there. So they had all the activities that were available by season, and then of course translated the season into the Ojibwe language as well, which I thought was bonus points. I really think that's, you know, again, developing a nice relationship with the customers. But you can see that, you know, you can go maple syrup making in spring, or you can, the opening of their fishing season. They're right on the shores of Lake Superior, so they're a very active fishing community. So when doesn't have to be seasonal, it can be times of day. But if you are Alaska and closed from September through March, you probably want to let people know that. So again, that they're not coming, not, you know, adding on to the end of their holiday season, and they're going to see very little.
Right. As well as for tribes who are usually closed to outsiders when they're, you know, having their cultural events. I know that Sky City takes some time off in certain parts of the year where they can have to close off to, you know, the public. So, you know, it's always best to know when the best time is to visit a tribe and offer that on your website. All right, let's get to why, Monica.
Let's get to why. So one of the things before we got into the whys and breaking down some of the tourism websites, why do people travel? And this is a great survey from US Travel. I believe it was 2018. Their top results were to avoid burnout, travel with friends and family, holiday travel, travel discounts, bucket list travel, and inspired by social media, travel articles, etc. If you click to this link, you can kind of tell at the screen that there's 4 quadrants. And so they actually break down travel desires by region. So if you're from the West, you may be more motivated by social media. If you're from the East, you may be more motivated by family travel. But knowing why people travel, you don't have to be all things to all people, but understanding why people might want to come to you can help you build itineraries and web content around these categories and these demographics.
Absolutely.
And then there's the next slide is Virtuoso, which is a luxury travel. It's a consortia of travel advisors that specialize in luxury travel. And their reasons, people, which I like these better. I think these are more realistic to my type of travel, but people travel to challenge themselves. So if you have great outdoor rock climbing, or if you have endurance fishing, or if you have any other activities that people can really challenge themselves, not necessarily physically, could be mentally, learning, expanding their perspective, getting in touch with themselves, appreciating life, building and strengthening relationships, having an adventure, escaping, relaxing and rejuvenating, and celebrating. And so these are, again, some of the reasons why people travel. Again, you don't have to be all things to all people, but if you have a great outdoor space, like the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation has their pecan orchards, if people can have a celebration there, then you want to call that out and make sure that some of these reasons why people travel are included into your content. And I just love this slogan that Discover or Travel Wyoming recently released is why, that's why. And their entire branding throughout their site, why Wyoming, why travel, why. And I just think that's really cute because that is the question visitors are asking. Why should I visit you? So I think, everyone's why is going to be different. Cuisine, people, powwow, scenery, nature, fun, history, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to define your own experiences, but why are people coming to you? And really the distinctive things that you offer, your salad bar and your buffet, that may be interesting if you have unique traditional cuisine on there. It may be less interesting if it's a pizza buffet. People can get that anywhere. So what's the distinctive, what's uniquely you?
Right. Once again, uniquely you. And these are just different sites that kind of show you the authentic places that you can visit and things you can do.
Yeah, each one is different, but none of them are any less interesting. And so if you have the Icy Straight Point, you can't really tell by that image, but they actually have crabby Bloody Marys where they put a crab leg right into their Bloody Mary. So if you're attracting foodie travelers, of course you want to call that out. But if you're Sun Tours and you have these amazing glacier park as your background setting, of course that's the experience. So you might be marketing to the visitor who's looking to challenge themselves or learn more about themselves. Whereas and then Agua Caliente Band, they're going to be opening their new cultural plaza out in Palm Springs area next year. And so they're going to be more of people who are maybe interested in history and art and culture. And again, none of these are mutually exclusive, but what is your unique component, and make sure you get that out there.
I actually visited the cultural plaza, and you can watch them build. They're building right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, don't forget your artisans. We don't want to forget you. So we visited the Hopi Trail, and this is specifically tailored to artisans and the different artists that they're going to meet along this trail. It's a small itinerary. You can talk to the artists. You can experience what they're making, and they have a whole variety of artists that you can visit with. Encourage your customers to visit your community, of course, when it's safe. But we want to celebrate our artists as well.
I love how the Hopi Trail, the banner actually celebrated the art. So they have their itinerary and their map, but they also celebrate each of the artists in the banner.
Yes, I love that as well.
Yeah.
And then this is just one artist in particular. So give your customers the relationship, have a relationship with your customers. So include your name, your business name, a brief profile of who you are, provide a headshot if you can. People want to see you. They want to know, they want to feel like they know you when they visit with you. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, why are you inspired to do the art that you do? Provide images of your work. And as Monica had mentioned earlier, make sure to rename your work when you're putting it into your website. And then your contact information, how can they reach you? Are you available by social media? Are you on social media? Can they contact you via email? Can they contact you by phone? And then information on your upcoming appearances. Are you going to be at Santa Fe Indian Market? Are you going to be at the herd? And then tips on what to see and do in your community. Of course, you know, bring them back to your community, invite them back when it is safe.
And again, if for those of you that are representatives of your tribe, people will travel far and wide to meet the artisans that they're buying from. And there's a lot of sites, I think I accidentally deleted the slide, but there's a lot of tribes that are celebrating their artisans through special pages. They may not be specific to tourism, but they will always increase your tourism value. So building an artisan trail or building a list of artisans or an online gift shop or an online directory of your artisans is good for your artisans. It helps the local economy, but it also helps you because it is one more way of encouraging people to come visit.
Right. So at this point, do we have any questions?
We have one question in the chat box, Maureen and Monica, and that is from Prudy Korea. Thank you for joining us, Prudy. She's asking, would you be willing to critique our websites?
How do you feel about that, Monica?
I don't have any issue with it, but just don't tell any of our bosses. They might not be. They might not know on it, but yeah, go ahead. I mean, yes, we would of course always be happy to work with anyone who's participating in this panel and give you tips and advice. We may not have, you know, a full hour for critiquing, but we definitely would be happy to work with you. So send us an email and we're happy to share our opinions.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the same way. I think that any way we can help will be great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Are there any other questions? Do you want to enter them in the Q&A or you can just enter them in the chat? I do want to share the message from one of our board members, Jamie Saijon. She just developed a new site for their casino. And she says shopping around is critical and that you're right, the cost shouldn't be astronomical. It can be efficient without sacrificing quality. So shop around is great advice. Let's see, we have a question. Recommended web programs, some content experience.
For our ayanta.org website, we use WordPress as the larger platform, and WordPress is incredibly robust and offers, you know, for very little money, you can get live quickly, you can buy themes or even get free themes that will get you the look you want without a lot of work. I do recommend you buy a theme and don't use the free ones because the free ones tend to not get updated with WordPress, which updates very frequently. And so you can cause some security issues if you use the free ones. Our site specifically uses an interface called Divi, D-I-V-I, which is a product of Elegant Themes. And Divi is really a robust, it's almost too complicated for the newbie, but it allows you to really design charts and graphs and columns, and it goes well beyond, so it interfaces into WordPress, but it goes well beyond what WordPress offers. So I think getting started with WordPress, there's, you know, I can send you some links, but there's all kinds of tools out there, and you could be up and running within an hour using some of the WordPress content. So that's my recommendation for beginners. Our nativeamerica.travel site is a custom built site through a custom database. And it's amazing because it lets us do what we want to do. It gives us a lot of options, but it also is difficult because when we want to update things, we have to wait for our designer to be ready to do that. And we have a great designer, so luckily he is usually available, but it can be limiting if you are using a custom tool. So to the best of your abilities, I think trying to use if you're a beginner and doing it yourself, using a off-the-shelf program like WordPress and Divi, I think are the best starting bets.
Okay, and we do have another one. We are working primarily in film and are working on our second familiarization tour for film productions to come to the nation. Would you recommend creating an entire page dedicated to this tour and building on that page as we create more tours?
I would, if the tour is up. I'm sorry, Maureen, I kind of jumped on there. I jumped on you there.
No, it's
If
fine.
the tour is open to the public, or you want to impress the media with these filming locations, such as, wow, this is the dark sky site as seen in XYZ production. So there's two reasons why you would want to do that. Either A, visitors come by this tour, this is part of what Navajo offers, or B, hey, media, look at all these cool sites within the Navajo Nation. I would definitely build that itinerary and promote it online. I think if you don't want the itinerary to compete with your Navajo film and TV. I'm making an assumption here, but since last week's Go International, I think that if you don't want that to step on the toes of the production people you're working with, then I would reconsider that. But for the most part, giving the media stuff to write about, they're always looking for this aside. Oh, did you know? Or this cool factoid. So creating that on the website and having that accessible, I think is a great idea.
And we have time for one more question, and this is from Darian Morset. What would you recommend for a booking agency on your website, such as Fair Harbor?
I like Fair Harbor. I think that they offer a lot of really great functionality, especially for smaller providers. And we do use them a little bit on NativeAmerica.travel. We're hoping to expand that. We're going to be growing and increasing the site soon. I think that there are also arguments to be made for having your product be in the inventory of the larger sites like Travelocity, Expedia. Obviously, it's more expensive to work with those providers, but they also have a wider distribution. They have a wider reach. Expedia in particular has a whole travel agent program, so people can resell your product by being in that. So I think there's some trade-offs. It's going to cost you more on your bottom line, but you're going to get a wider reach. And I think when people are searching you, if you're not in Expedia as a booking option, sometimes they do ask the questions of, what's my guarantee? Will I get my money back if your tour cancels at the last minute? And Expedia, even though that's not realistic, Expedia gives this element of confidence that you are a vetted provider. But I think Fair Harbor is a really great place to start. And I can talk to you later, Darian, and give you some more suggestions and do a little research on other providers similar to Fair Harbor as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Maureen and Monica. Some really good information here. And it's so important that you put some time and effort into creating your website and getting your message across, and it being user friendly, sorry. So yeah, some good information. And I know that we did have some questions about sharing the PowerPoint. We will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation along with the recorded video. We will email it to all of our registrants, and we will also have it available on our website at the ianta.org/webinar series. I just want to mention, if you are not a member and would like to become a member and sign up for our newsletter, please visit our website at ianta.org, or you can reach out to Gail Shihak, our Tribal Relations and Outreach Manager, by email. And her email address is gshihak@ianta.org. And just want to again thank everyone for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. So have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.